Welcome to First Responder Financial Freedom Podcast. We talk to first responders all over the nation who are investing and working on businesses outside of their first responder jobs. Our goal is to motivate and educate each other and help provide a better financial understanding for a better future. Now here are your hosts, Mike Webb, Tyler Thrush, and Aaron Foster.
Hey guys, it's 4/21, April 21st, 2022. We're just doing an update with myself, Mike Webb, and Tyler Thrush about what we have going on and how we've proceeded and grown in the last couple of weeks since the last update. So this is just us shooting the shit and cutting it up. So, Mike, what do you have going on? Has anything changed? I know you sold a ton of freaking houses in the last couple of months, and you got an Airbnb going and something else. What do you have going
on? A lot, it seems like some days. Sometimes too much, I feel like. But no, man, it's been good. Like you said, we've been selling some stuff. We just closed up a couple flips that were very nice, profit-wise. But that was like right about the time a lot of the rate stuff started changing. So who knows, that the other shoe might be dropping on that. So just kind of paying real close attention there. I just picked up a rental this week, so we're starting the rehab on that. Our 4-unit that's been an absolute nightmare for me, the fire damaged building, we completely rebuilt it. Basically, we just got all of our final city inspections this Monday. So it's 3 of the units are occupied. The 4th one's a corporate rental. So it's getting advertised starting tomorrow.
Where's that at?
And that's in Berkeley County, West Virginia. So
what was fire damage? Just one of the 4 units?
Yeah. Yep. So one of the top, it's a 2-story, that one of the upstairs units caught on fire. And then you had some drop down water damage. Then it sat for a while. And it was a big lift, lots of work there. So
I'm curious, real quick. Sorry, what do you think? So I watch you and Bill too, and I was asking Bill. You guys have always done well, but I feel like lately you guys have definitely ramped it up. What do you guys think has been the biggest, turning point for you as far as just the consistency of deal flow? Because I'm sure Aaron's mentioning the same thing for the same reason, because you guys are posting all the time, another deal, and everybody else is saying it's so hard to get deals right now.
Yeah, so not to diminish the effort of our acquisitions team, like it's still hard to get deals for us too.
Yeah.
So, but I think flipping, just constantly evaluating all the stuff that comes across our desk from a lot of different lenses. Whereas before it was like, it doesn't fit this strict criteria to be this, or this. To like some of those, like one of them was a JV. Somebody brought us a deal and we're like, hey, we can do this with it. Some of them were owner finance deals, which a year ago, that wasn't something we really utilized. Where now, I mean, I just got a contract this morning. It's owner finance. So a lot of subject to stuff has allowed us to pick up deals that normally we would have passed on. And I think we've been consistent, and that is not sexy. And at times it feels like it's just a struggle and gritty, but we just keep sending mail, keep sending messages, keep contact people, just mainly being consistent. And this year we've really taken a focus on restructuring with some of our team members. So not necessarily kicking anybody off the bus or putting anybody else on the bus, but just rearranging seats. And that has been what I would describe as very time intensive, challenging. But I think right now we're starting to maybe see that flywheel kick into place from the work of identifying who's doing what. So I don't think there's any one thing. I just think it's a little bit of tweaking here, a little bit of tweaking there.
Who's your target audience, Mike, and how are you reaching out to them? Are you doing letters, or are you doing cold calls, or what?
I do not do cold calls. There is some people in our market that hammer that pretty hard. I do think it's funny. They have to advertise under a different name though, because they've been sued. But that's a different story. I'm really heavy into direct mail. So it's expensive, but when you look at what you spend versus what you get, I'm probably the most successful with that because that's what I've been doing the longest and the most consistently. We've leaned into doing some evergreen marketing online. So PPC, SEO, we've been taking a focused approach to that for probably the last 12 to 24 months with, I don't know, I'm still not convinced we're nowhere near where we need to be with that yet. But our target audience is largely either, I don't want to say elderly, but folks that have owned their home for quite a while or absentee landlords. So those are pretty much the bread and butter.
Nice.
You're heading to a mastermind too, right? Soon.
Yeah. So we're going to the event that Ian's putting on in Baltimore. So Bill and I are going to head over for that. Try and network with the big boys and see what they got going on. I'm very interested, like with the lending aspect of stuff. And like we just said a minute ago, that's changing a lot right now. But I have a loan that we're doing that closes next week. So I'm just trying to learn more about that world. So I'm hoping to pick that up or a couple nuggets about that up at their event in Baltimore next 2 weeks from now. So
yeah, May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yeah.
Something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So shooting out to Denver next week to see my brother. He bought a new house out there. So got that going on. And then my son's got baseball. So pretty much staying steady.
Busy.
Nice.
Tyler, what about you? I know you got doing lending. What have you seen in terms of rates? Has it changed anything that you guys been doing? Are you still?
So for my mortgage business, yeah, rates have definitely gone up. So that slowed us down a little bit. So I kind of have been looking for other avenues through that, and I got signed up with a few lenders that are doing fix and flip loans. I just got approved for Kiabi, which used to be Lending Home. So I just brokered a deal for a buddy out here. Been super easy so far. So I'm going to lean into that big time because they can do, I mean, I don't know how many states. They had a ton of states they're approved in. And then
am I able to go through you for them?
Yeah. And it's interesting. So it's funny. Like, I've known this guy forever. I'm like, hey, let me just do one for you as long as I can get the same or better. And we'll go from there. And I ended up, it was like almost a full % lower than he would going directly through Lending Home. I don't know if that was a one-time deal, but yeah, I can broker in almost any state now. So focusing on that. And then I'm really hitting hard on, I want to do DSCR loans for people too, but I hear a lot of nightmare stories, and I am just huge on experience. So I'm kind of cooling my jets until I find somebody who everybody consistently says that they like, and then I'm going to lean into those two things just because I feel like it's a natural fit for right now. I feel like conventional loans are destined to slow down. And I do so much investing and talk about investing so much. I feel like this is a natural fit. So I've been leaning into that. And then to your point, Aaron, I did another private money loan last week for a mutual friend of Mike and myself. I upped that rate just because I know that, hey, and if conventional rates are going up, hard money rates can go up too. So I did that at 12% and 2 points. And I like it. I mean, I love that lending aspect of it. Honestly, it's just so much easier, and there's so much synergy with what I'm already doing. And then on the investment side, we have one that we're supposed to get a certificate of occupancy yesterday on, which we took down to the studs. That's been a long process. It's just taken forever. Finishing up a rental rehab. And I think that's it. And then as far as the lending stuff goes, I know some guys in the group have been asking. I just use, so whatever title company or attorney that they're going through, I have them use their standard state mortgage paperwork. And you can always lean on the title companies and escrow depending on, or an attorney depending on what state you're in. And you can use those documents. And those are the ones that I use. And for the same thing, like I do, I go over the title reports. All the things I do for my mortgage business are translating very well to private lending. I'm like, well, I know how to do this whole process pretty easily and what to watch out for and things like that. So that it's funny how much more I'm leaning into the lending side. I didn't think I would do that. I thought I would stay 100% fix and flip, and I'm liking lending. And I know we've all three of us have been talking about it. I really want to buy a self-storage facility this year. I am just like,
I am buying one this year. I'm just saying that all the time.
That's
and
part of my
I'm just
notes
gonna
right
keep.
here.
I'm gonna keep telling everybody that listens to this, and hopefully one day the dots will connect. So
it'll
I'm buying
happen.
a self-storage facility. If anybody knows of one, we're buying it.
Let's do it. I mean, I
Call
just,
us.
Yeah, seriously. Hey, if you know,
send
it over.
I'm dead. So I actually started because I sometimes get a little shiny object syndrome. Did I tell you the story about me going out to get something out of my garage for my wife, and she came out and I was leaf blowing the driveway, and she lost her mind. She thinks I have ADD, but whatever. So I was going on Google Maps and looking at all the self-storage facilities that I like, just Googled them. And I'm going to have my VA just build me a list of like all these areas like that I think I want to focus on.
Good.
Yeah. Kind of like what Dylan was saying, and I'll just start calling them or something.
Dude, I was doing the same thing as I went through a list there. I was Googling lists that were pre-made already, and of all the people who are part of like the Association of Storage Builders or Storage Units. And I had a whole list, and I was like, I got to figure out how to call them and what my pitch is going to be. And there's a couple of them that I've seen for sale in the last couple of years that came off the market. And I was like, well, maybe I can target a off-market list of storage units. There's one in Ocean City on the shore across the street from Ocean Downs, the casino. And
is that the one you sent us? That big Mamba Jamba that was like Class A?
That's a new build. That's close to it, but yeah, it's close to it. But this one's like the guy bought it and it's just went to shit. It's just weeds and trees right now. But it's like you can still see the structures there. It's just abandoned. And I was like, maybe it's already zoned for it. It's across the street from casino. It's a popular area. Yeah, building this list out is going to be the big thing is finding the off-market deals, I think.
Well, it's funny too. So I was talking to a buddy yesterday in the lending world, but he's done a lot of investing. And we were laughing because probably 10 years ago, maybe longer than that. No, longer than that now. He was doing land acquisition, and I was a title rep, and he used this thing called Sky Farm, which is basically like the same functionality as a lot of products now. But this is before you could go and virtually look for deals online and then just click and find out all the owner information. This was way ahead of its time, but he killed it. And we were talking about a deal yesterday that I'm like, dude, you should put storage on it. But check this out. This is definitely shiny object syndrome. He found an empty lot next to a major freeway out here in Southern California. It had a billboard on it. They paid $250 for it. It had a billboard on it, nothing else. He was able to convert the old billboard into a digital billboard, and they make $50,000 a year off of that thing. And it's just raw land sitting there just from doing what we're talking about online, essentially Google Maps with a little bit more power on the back end. And he cold called them, and he's like, dude, I would sit there all day long and cold call people. He's like, I couldn't tell you how many deals I got from that. But it's funny. It's very cost effective, but very time intensive. But he said, he's like, they've had that, I think he said, for over 10 years now, and they get $50,000 a year off of that just passively.
So a long time ago in this group, I posted about that. I don't know if you guys remember it. I made a post about like people buying up and having billboards on the side of the road. And Mike, if you pay attention to the billboards in Maryland, almost the entire state is owned by Clear Channel. And I saw them start popping up. This is probably a decade ago. I saw them start popping up, and they have at the bottom of the thing is Clear Channel, Clear Channel, Clear Channel. And I'm like, somebody's buying up all these billboards and making a mint off of it. So one of the guys in the group, when I posted about it, he said something along the lines of, I just bought, X amount of acreage. He's like, I'm going to subdivide off just the billboard and sell the acreage off and keep the billboard. And I was like, that's kind of a smart play. I love that idea because that's extremely passive. One of my cousins used to have to do the signage for him. So he'd be the guy climbing the scaffolding and putting up the signage and whatnot. And it's a lucrative business. Like they get paid well to hang the signs, and they pay a lot of money per month, depending on the location. You don't see a lot of these billboards in affluent areas, but in like the C, D neighborhoods, you'll probably see more of them, or the highways. And it's a lucrative business. It's just finding those deals and knowing who to talk to.
Absolutely. So what do you got going on, Aaron?
What do I have going on? I've been reverting back to my old ways. So like I've been hitting woodwork harder. I've got this thing, instead of throwing stuff away and donating stuff, I've been trying to sell it on eBay. I've been making a little bit of money that way. Just something to do. Well, if I have 5 minutes, I can take pictures of whatever and throw it on eBay real quick. And I learned a couple of tricks this week using Pirate Ship to lower my costs. What else did I learn this week? Just a couple of different like tips and tricks. Find all the sold items. If it's sold on eBay, it's one of the highlighted items you can do when you do a search. You can see what stuff is worth. So it's already got data points now for what you can sell it for. It's not a lot of money, but one of the guys in the group made $32,000 relatively passively. Alex, and he'll probably be on here in the podcast soon. What else did I do? I changed the strategy for one of the refinances on one of the properties. I went with a commercial loan because the commercial rates were lower than the residential rental rates by almost a full percentage. It's a 15-year balloon on a 30-year term. But if I hit the numbers that I want, I should be able to pay the whole thing off in 5 years anyways. And the other one was a property I was selling, but now I decided to make it a short-term rental because I kept getting these like stupid, ridiculously low offers. So it was like $100,000, $200,000 below the listed price. So I'll figure I'll put another, I don't know, $10,000 in this property maybe, and I should be able to net around $30,000 a year. And I owe 135 on the property. It's probably worth 4.5. If I want to, I can make that in a little piggy bank. But for now, it's just I want to have strategy. And one of the things is like a lot of these people don't have strategy. They just have like a one-trick pony, and they don't know how else to look at a deal. And that worries me going into what we're dealing with right now with the rates going up. I really think that a lot of people, especially with saturated markets with short-term rentals, they might get stuck with their head in the sand and not paying attention to, okay, now we're in a saturated market. There's too many options here. My property isn't getting the rentals that I wanted to. And people have been using the data points from COVID as their reference to make the money. And it's like, if COVID was here, people couldn't travel overseas, so they were forced to stay local. So the numbers and the local rates went up. Say, for me, it was Ocean City or Deep Creek Lake, because those are both about 3 hours from me. So that's where people would travel to. So if the last 2 years, your data points, the prices went up in those rentals is because of COVID, and now people can travel again, those prices actually might come down. And I think people are buying too high, and they can't use it. They don't have another way to get out of the deals, like a long-term rental or a corporate rental or nursing rentals. So I think a lot of them, like I think there's some dangerous lines that might be crossed here in the coming years.
For sure, because your cost of capital is going up, and then, like you mentioned, if it starts to get tough and people, it's going to be a race to the bottom for pricing, just to keep afloat, and then it's going to be even worse for everybody if they're not covering that monthly nut. I definitely see that. It's funny, I think you were the one that sent me that group for short-term rentals on Airbnb on Facebook, dude. I don't want to say I laughed, but I'm like, what in the hell do half of these people think? Like, you can tell that they did a little bit of research, and it's not a knock on them because, hey, they took action. But some of these things, I'm like, holy crap, like there has to be some type of research and common sense after this point. Like, hey, we can't just put this thing on a website and not figure anything else out.
And that's why. So I've kind of, I think the whole short-term rental phenomenon, if you will, is pretty cool. However, I feel like this is just like you've seen this start to play out. And granted, it's not happened yet to my knowledge, but like you buy these destination type properties where you're, in my mind, the only exit strategy is short-term rental or hope and pray for appreciation. I don't like either one of those. So that's why like all of my short-term rentals are properties that I underwrote as a traditional rental, but you can basically like supersize it by making it a short-term rental. But if everything went to shit with short-term rentals right now, I could convert them to long-term rentals. Obviously, they're not going to produce as much, but I'm not going to get left holding the bag either. So that's what would concern me about going to buy like a place that only could be utilized for that. Like, so Aaron's Ocean Pines place, he bought that as like a lifestyle play, just like that cabin I posted. We bought that with the intentions of it being an investment, but largely we wanted to utilize it also. And if you look, Harper's Ferry, West Virginia has a lot of short-term rentals. And I think some of those people have them set up so that they're only for short-term rental, where this, I could care less if I really make any money on it. If I just cover my nut every month on it, I'm good with it, you know? So I don't know. It's just something, you're right. It's going to be interesting to see how some of this plays out. So, you know, I feel like I'm usually pretty even keeled, but obviously there's a lot of talk about, are we entering a recession? The rates, the this, the that. So you guys playing offense right now, defense, or?
I don't know. I would say I'm less aggressive right now, and it's just because watching everything, I can't figure out like what I want to do or what I'm comfortable doing. Like I'm noticing just my intuition is telling me anything like a full gut rehab in Idaho right now. It doesn't really interest me because it's too long of a play. So I guess I'm just like, to Aaron's point, strategy. I still will flip and I'll still wholesale, but for a flip, I'm thinking right now, all I want to do is cosmetic, very light rehabs, and yeah, get my money in and out. And for me, I think that's another reason why I'm leaning more aggressively into lending, because as long as I can underwrite it and there's a good gap in between ARV and what I'm lending on, if we do hit a speed bump and there is something that happens with that borrower, at least I know I still have a good amount of space. But yeah, it's crazy. I don't know about you, Mike, and I don't know if Aaron is doing any PPC, but PPC is getting extremely expensive. And I noticed it's because Open Door has made a much bigger push into Idaho. And it's making my costs, a lot more expensive. And that's pretty much like, to talk about being all in on one strategy and kind of getting bit in the butt. I've always done that for years, and now it's definitely becoming a struggle. So I'm kind of not in a pause mode, but I'm just looking around and kind of seeing, okay, I'm going to watch everything that's going on right now, continue what I'm doing, and then I'm going to wait for that opportunity to present itself, or to your point with subject to. I think it's time. Now is a good time to still do what we're doing, but to brush up on skills that we're not strong on. So like for me, like owner financing is one that I think is a great strategy. And yeah, and not everybody knows what wholesaling and flipping is at this point, I feel like, but how to structure a subject to, or an owner finance, or a wrap. And I think wraps could become very big again in the 70s and in 80s when interest rates went through the roof. All-inclusive trust deeds, that was like most of the business for agents, they're doing wraps to get deals done. So just trying to see like what that next thing is going to be and go from there. But are you guys still using Vic and Travis for training, Mike, or did you guys do something else?
So yeah, I actually just hopped on the first call like 2 weeks ago, but my acquisitions manager and Bill, my partner, they've been heavily involved in the training with Travis. So there is a Facebook group if anybody's interested. It's called Travis Oglesby's Equity Buyers, and I'll need to find the link and send it, because that Oglesby might be a little challenging to spell, and I don't know it off the top of my head. But he offers like a course, and it's like it's very good. Like it's made us plenty of money for the investment. So he breaks it down, and they like run through deals. So yeah, I agree. Like now's a real good time to figure that out if you're not doing it, or if you are doing it, maybe lean into it a little bit harder. We're definitely doing a couple wraps and subject to stuff. So
can you guys?
I think
I got a couple questions for you. Can you guys explain what a wrap is?
Sure.
You
take a property that has an existing mortgage on it, and you basically create a new loan that essentially wraps. It goes around that first mortgage. So like if Mike has a specific deal, I think it's easier to explain it in an actual case study. But you take an existing loan, create a new one, and wrap it around. But
okay. Yeah. So I'll give you one. So you see me post pictures of that yellow house that turned blue and you thought I moved the power lines?
Yeah.
Remember that one? So we bought that house. It was somebody died, out of state owner. He wanted to sell it. There was structurally, like, the house was fine. It was just cosmetically tired. We got it for like 140, I think. Don't quote me on these numbers because they might be fuzzy on some of them. About 140. It was livable. We did not do anything but clean it out, change the locks, and put light bulbs in there because there was no lights on. Advertised it for like, I think 10,000 down, and then we were selling it for 199 because it was probably a 200, 215 house, give or take. But the guy that bought it, he has no credit. He flips hot tubs, so he has like an all cash business, kind of unique. Million ways to make $1 million, dude. So he had $10,000 he put down. So that took his loan to 180. We had an underlining note because we bought it for 140. So 140 to 180 is our profit margin whenever he buys it or refinances us out. We're charging 7.9% interest on that. Our underlying debt is at like 4%. So you have like 4% to 8%. So you got 4% interest you're making on the money. Plus he's responsible for all the bills, the maintenance, fixing it up. So he's improved this whole place. And if he walks away from it, we now have a fixed up house. Or whenever he goes to cash us out, we pay off the underlying note of 140, or at that point, just say it's 135. He put 10,000 down, so we get 190. So we make that $45,000 spread. He now owns it, and it's refinanced with Bank of America at 5%. So that may not have been super clear, but basically you get a little money up front, you make money in the middle, and you make money on the sale. So
cool. One thing I want to talk about is the financial exposure. So when you're a lot of things in DC, everybody's like, oh, condo conversion. Like, you're buying $1 million property, putting $1 million into it, and you have a massive financial and time exposure to the market. And one of the things I worry about is people are getting in over their heads with some of these renovations because they don't know the timelines, how long it'll take. So I'm worried that people are looking at these deals because they have to get in now because they have shiny object syndrome and they got to pull the trigger. But what it comes down to is, like, they don't know what they're getting into for timelines or for cost expense, because with all the expense of the materials right now and the waiting time for some of these materials, like, it can increase your holding times and your cost expenses significantly. So one of the things that Mike, Tyler, and I have always looked at is I'd like to hit lending this year, and we all want to hit storage units. But one of the reasons that I'm looking at it is because there's less competition. So I always get my balls busted because I like castles and lighthouses and stuff that's kind of niche and off the market. Well, the reason I like that is because I'm competing against 10 people instead of 100 people or 1,000 people on some of these deals. So you have to figure out how to make these work. And it's a little bit shiny object syndrome, but it's also a calculated risk, what you're getting into. You have to know your numbers going into it. You have to know what your competition looks like, and you got to know what the demand is for it. Like in DC, you can buy a parking spot for anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000. So you can buy a house out by the Midwest, out by Mike, out by parts of Florida for that much. But people are paying that much for a parking spot. So if I could find land and put a parking lot in there, then I'd do it in a heartbeat. But then you have to look at, now there's rain tax and impervious surface tax and everything else. Like, you have to know all the ins and outs of these deals before you pull the trigger, because I like the idea of ready, shoot, aim. But some of these things, like if you ready, shoot, aim, and you don't know what's behind the backstop, you might hit something that's vital and essential, and you bleed out.
Yeah, man, EMT is shit. So, but no, seriously, I always say ready, fire, aim, and I totally agree. I don't want people to get the misconception I'm advising you be reckless, but I think sometimes we get analysis paralysis, and sometimes you got to just, there you go. You got
my award.
You got the Smart Life tattoo on your back, I guarantee it. So, but yeah, I agree. Like, there's a lot of different ways to differentiate yourself. And just you talking about parking lots, I don't know if you've ever listened to, his name's Kevin Bupp, Bupp. He's like the big boy when it comes to mobile home parks, but he was talking about shifting, this was probably about a year or two ago, into purchasing parking lots. So yeah, good place to check out some more information about like parking lots, parking garages, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know the first thing about it, but definitely I can't imagine you don't make money with it. What is there to it? Property tax?
Yeah.
Asphalt every couple years? Snow removal?
It should be pretty profitable, I would think. Not a whole lot of CapEx. You know what I was thinking too, and I do this. So I don't know if you guys have like DC or Mike where you guys are at, but the Facebook groups, the wholesale groups, and the flippers. Like there's one in Boise that I'm always on, and I just go on there like once every couple of days and I look through it, and I'm like, okay, well, there's a couple big time flippers that I know that are, oh hey, we have this property, but we don't have enough time to finish it, or we have this piece of land that's been all the way through entitlements and here's approved plans, but we're getting rid of it. So I'm watching guys who are doing a lot of volume and just paying attention, like they're leaving clues, and I'm like, okay, well, why are they getting rid of this deal that maybe a few months ago was a home run? Is it because they found a new and better opportunity? That definitely could be the case. But I'm watching and just to make sure I'm not seeing patterns that I'm not aware of because I'm actually not on the ground in Boise. But I'm like, okay, well, let me see. And I've just been, like I said, I've been watching a lot and seeing like, what is going on, what is happening, how many price reductions are there going on. And like Aaron said, there's a lot of stuff that's not very competitive right now. Like last year, I had a buddy talk about RV parks. I'm like, well, that looks cool. And it's like, okay, maybe it's time. And we've been talking about, that's what I've decided. Hey, I think self-storage is the best out of all those. But like, hey, look for areas that are not as competitive. And I feel like right now, if it is super competitive and all three of us are already doing deals, I still think, like, yeah, education and like Aaron, you can tell Aaron's done this from the parking lots, whatever the impervious surface and rain fees are, but I don't know what the hell that is, but you can tell he's done his research. And I think there's a healthy balance between how we always say, ready, fire, aim, and just going balls to the wall and having no clue what you're doing. I think when we talk about ready, fire, aim, it's, hey, we see an opportunity that we think is good and we've done some due diligence, but not go to the point of analysis paralysis where you sit there and talk about this one house you want to buy for 4 months. And by the time you actually do something, it's already sold.
A lot of what we talk about is focused around real estate just because that seems to be the biggest potential financial benefit for all of us for our future. But I've gotten a couple of feedbacks from guys saying like, hey, we have other stuff going on too. And like a lot of the money I make on the side is not with real estate. Like I do really well with real estate stuff too, but like I've been looking at wood prices, not for building and construction, but for say retirement plaques or for like wall hangers like I have behind me. Like those have changed too. So my dynamics of my woodworking company has changed as well because these numbers are changing. And I'm actually looking at getting into, I've got a nice little laser engraver sitting next to me actually, where I make stuff like, the Burn Foundation, like etchings, and I put them on flags and wall hangers, or, we do, acrylic for the retirement guys. So we put them on different things. But this market is also getting very saturated because everybody's getting into it. So I'm looking at the next step, which is a fiber laser where I can etch like guns or metals or, again, retirement plaques. And it's a very lucrative business because the amount of money you put into it, you can actually get it, tenfold in the first year or two if you have the right connections. So I was sitting with a buddy of mine who owns one of the gun shops in the area. And he was like, dude, I'll kick you all the business that I have. And, you can etch all these guns. And a lot of it's plug and play. So a lot of it's just background and due diligence. And it's just one of those things that's like, I really think that guys, if you're not comfortable in real estate, there's other things out there for you. It could be eBaying stuff, which I do that. I do that on occasion now. I'm starting to get more into it instead of throwing stuff away. I sold light switch covers that I normally throw away, and I made like, $50-$60 off these light switch covers because they were vintage. I'm like, I've thrown hundreds and hundreds of these things away, but now I'm like, well, if I can make $20 or $30 a pop on them, it only takes me 30 seconds to put it on eBay. I'll do that next. it's just your motivation and your time and what your time's worth.
And it's good not to be 100% in your real estate too. I mean, even for me, I feel like I'm kind of a one-trick pony, but finding something like that, Aaron, I think is huge. And you're evolving. You did something, you saw, hey, the barrier to entry is lower for this, but I'm sure that fiber laser is a lot more expensive, right?
Yeah, probably $5,000 to $10,000, but if after 6 months I can pay that off.
But yeah, what's your printer that you had that you bought first? How much was that?
The one I bought that's sitting next to me, I think the first time I bought it was $2,500, and I think they're up to like $3,500 now because there's so much demand for them. They raised the prices. So it's like, oh, it's inflation. Like, no, it's you fucking price gouging assholes. Like, it's the same shit.
Yeah, 100%. I think we should have guys too. Like, I'm interested. Like, I know there's some guys on there. I was going through the group. Like, we have guys who have like a lawn care business, pressure washing, stuff like that. I think that's a huge thing if they want to get into real estate. It's like, you do this, you get this dialed, you take those profits, you throw that chunk of money into a deal, and then you go back and you continue your business. I'm personally, like, I love talking real estate, but I'm also very interested in things that are outside my normal day-to-day that I don't ever like, hey, how do you run this business?
Yeah, I just talked to a guy yesterday at work. I think he has like 70 yards that he mows. He started a mowing company a couple years ago, and just the evolution of that. So yeah, there's all sorts of hustles. Like, obviously we're real estate focused here just because that's kind of like what the wheelhouse is for all three of us. But I'm very interested in recession resistant and Amazon resistant businesses like laundromats, car washes, just that kind of stuff. Like all of that type of stuff interests me. So it's like, if we do see a correction in the market or whatever happens, that might be a good time to put a toe in the water with something like that. Try and figure that other type of business out. So not saying bail on real estate, because there's always a good time to buy and a good time to sell. We might be looking at a real good time to buy here soon. Who knows? But yeah, let's try and get a couple of those folks on here. But if anybody's interested, shoot us an email, or if there's topics you're like, hey, I really want you guys to talk about how to become a home inspector. Like, I feel like that is a job that pairs well with the fire department. Let's find a home inspector. Let's find somebody that does this. But shoot us an email. Let us know what you want to hear. And we got to hop off here in a moment for an interview with our next guest. But if you know about a storage facility for sale, give us a call.
All right, guys. That's
just kidding. Seriously.
Kind of. Not really. Call us.
It's going to take us out at the knees. Yeah.
All right. So that's the update for April 21st. Hope everybody had a good Easter. We're going to move on to the next episode coming up, and talk to you guys soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again for spending some time with us today. If you found value in anything you heard, please share with someone who may benefit. We look forward to connecting between shows in our Facebook group, First Responder Financial Freedom. Till next time.